Assassin's Creed Unity is a game that I hold close to my heart, since I played it before, but I never completed the game to its full extent. So I decided to pick up the game once again, and in this video I will show you everything needed for full completion, as well as my experience with the game. The story mode in the game is split into 13 chapters, including the DLC, and I will start off by going through the story seamlessly. So, you play as a kid called Arno Dorian.
Arno.
And don't worry, he will grow up in like a minute or so, if not earlier.
You wait just here.
Anyways, you arrive with your father at a castle in Versailles. Your father is tired of you being a mischievous little shit, so he tells you to wait on a chair, while he goes away to do adult stuff, I guess.
No exploring,
We of course get bored of the old chair. However, another mischievous kid decides to approach us to lead us away to explore, which is the exact opposite of what our father told us to do. We chase after the girl and somehow manage to bump into a butler on the way. The girl then challenges us to steal an apple, and I mean, just look at them. They look absolutely delicious, I guess. Anyways, a guard spots us, so we instinctively run away as the thief that we are. The girl then drags us behind the corner and introduces herself as Elise.
Did you see their faces when we stole those apples?
Voices from shocked civilians can be heard in the distance, and Arno thought they were looking for him because he stole that apple.
I'm the one who took the apple.
But he couldn't be further away from the truth. We then approach a crowd filled with shocked faces and teary eyes, and Arno is starting to feel worried.
Father?
As he should be, because his father is laying there, lifeless. And that causes Arno to drop the watch that his father gave him, resulting in it breaking into 1,000 pieces. Okay, maybe not 1,000 pieces, but you get the idea.
Come away, boy.
The time goes by, and Arno is now 13 years older. And the seemingly rage-filled fat man then bursts through the door to retrieve our father's watch. We lose our grip of the watch, and the fat man's brother picks it up and runs away. We of course chase after him and manages to tackle him. The brothers are now filled with even more rage, so we need to escape the area and flee to an estate where we can hide.
I have business in town and must collect Elise before I can attend to it.
Elise is here.
Arno then finds out that Elise will arrive in town, and he seems more excited than ever. A carriage reports from the estate, and an exhausted mailman with an important letter missed it by a few seconds. So we kindly offer ourselves to deliver the important letter to a man called Monsieur de la Serre. And we do so by running after the carriage, as well as climbing on top of and jumping off of rooftops. However, we tail the wrong carriage, so we climb onto a church tower to get a better view. And while doing so, we not only find the carriage, we also spot Elise close by. So we hastily jump down the tower and desperately need to find a way into the building. And while we're inside, we need to first of all find de la Serre, which we do. But then we realize that we have been tailed by the fat brothers from before. Arno then gets tackled by one of the brothers and the fight has begun. And let's just say that they got what they deserved.
Mademoiselle is at a private soiree palace.
A party?
A party is supposed to take place tonight, and Arno gets upset because firstly he wasn't invited, and secondly because Elise will have fun without him. So he decides to infiltrate the party. But before leaving for the party, we slide the letter under de la Serre's door and steal a pair of fancy clothes. And when we arrive to the party, we are not let inside. But that doesn't stop us, because we effortlessly climb the building and sneak past a couple of guards. And while we're inside, another woman approaches us with the hopes to dance with us, but we got our eyes solely on Elise. Arno and Elise then exchange a few kisses with each other, and after a while they get interrupted. So we need to sneak past even more guards.
Too much of the king's champagne.
And while arriving outside, we see de la Serre looking very unstable, and soon enough he collapses on the floor. And while we try to help him, another man frames us for the murder.
Bon Dieu, he's killed Lord de la Serre.
Have mercy!
We have now been transported to a prison filled with other lunatics.
They're killing us! What's in here?
That's enough of that, you degenerate!
and after arriving in our cell we decide to take a well-deserved nap. But when we wake up, another prisoner have stolen our watch and challenges us to a duel, which we win. And after that he tells us to concentrate on the wall, and it seems like only we and the other prisoner are able to see the drawings on the wall. The man is called Bellic, and he knew our father. And this is also how Arno figures out that his father was an assassin.
How did you...
Your father was an assassin, Arno.
2 months pass and an uproar started in Paris. And all the noises coming from the outside of the prison are a perfect cover for our escape plan with Bellic. So, we kill the guards entering our cell, and that is the beginning of our grand escape from the prison. The guards then chase us up onto the rooftop of the prison, and there is simply no other way to escape than to jump down into the river.
What are you waiting for, Pissbot?
Arno seems skeptical to this idea at first, but after gathering some courage, he jumps after Bellic. After escaping the prison, Arno immediately tracks down Elise, and she thinks that Arno killed her father. But we stand our ground and kindly explain that we are innocent before leaving her.
I swear to you, I had nothing to do with his death.
Arno is upset by the fact that Elise thought that he had killed her father, so we find him alone on the rooftop chugging a bottle of wine. But this isn't a good way of coping with hard feelings, so Arno starts to concentrate on the watch that his father gave him, and the watch shows him the way to the assassin's hideout. And while entering the hideout, an imaginary world is presented to us, filled with flashbacks from his past, and we need to traverse through obstacles in order to reach the end, where we then kill the killer of our father. And when we do so, we see the killer's face, and the killer is Arno himself. Arno then receives his hidden blade from the assassins, and he has now finally joined the Creed himself. We now meet Bellic again to complete our first mission as an assassin. And the point of the mission is to assassinate a couple of guards as well as sabotaging an alarm bell. And after doing so, a couple of Templars arrive at the site, but we are there to kill a few of them in order to retrieve crucial information about other Templars that are involved in our father's murder. We then follow Bellic back to the assassin's headquarters, where we present the information that we stole. The Creed then orders us to go to Notre Dame in order to kill a Templar called Sivert. We now need to find a way to kill the Templar, and we do so by hiding in a confession booth, and when Sivert least expects it, we strike him with a blade to the neck. When we do so, we gain access to Sivert's memories, where we can gather information about our next target. A rift to another time period called La Belle Époque, aka the Good Times, opens up and we jump through it. And while we are inside the rift, the world seems unstable and we need to find an exit that leads us back to where we were. So we run down into a subway station with the hopes of finding one. But it is easier said than done, because the train appears and we need to run for our life in order to survive. And after that we need to climb the Statue of Liberty while dodging powerful wind currents. And to be honest, Arno made a hell of a cool exit while escaping the rift. With the information gathered from Sivert's mind, we are led to a place called La Cour des Miracles, and our objective is to investigate the area as well as tracking down Latouche. We find the man whilst he is amputating a civilian's leg, in order for him to be used as a beggar. We try to intervene, but we get interrupted by another man. Anyways, I don't care what he has to say to me, so I start to tail Latouche instead, and he leads us to a clinic where they bring the beggars. After a minute's worth of searching, we burst into a room where we find Latouche, and we lock him up against the wall to then interrogate him about where we can find another Templar, and we are guided towards the catacombs.
The catacombs! He's in the catacombs beneath the old church!
After arriving at the catacombs near the old church, we first need to sabotage a couple of chimneys so that the catacombs fill up with smoke. We then fight our way through the catacombs to locate the Templar called Le Roi de Thun. It wasn't hard to find him either, but we also find Latouche, and he is there to inform Le Roi de Thun about our presence.
An assassin is nearby and that you are his intended target.
Anyways, Le Roi has a gun and that is rather annoying, so we shoot him in the head in order for us to then calmly climb up to him and kill him. But before that, I felt like humiliating him by stealing his belongings first. And after killing him, we gain access to his memories, and get even more information about the murder of De La Serre. and the information gives us hints about a silversmith that had crafted the silver blade used by the murderer.
Monsieur. Too much of the king's champagne.
Sylvain, come away!
We now need to find a guy called Germain, who is this alleged silversmith. And we do so by lockpicking doors and killing guards. And once we find him, he tells us to help him get out of the area because he has been held captive by the Templars.
About this.
So, we help him out by killing even more guards as well as a couple of snipers, and even Germain got to kill a guard. After our escape, Germain tells us about another Templar that we might be interested in, and that leads us to a place called La Halle aux Blés. And when we arrive at La Halle aux Blés, we climb up inside the building only to find a book filled with his plans, so Arno can find where he is.
He's planning, it's big.
But we didn't want to leave the building without a bang, so Arno decides to set fire to the place by throwing a lantern onto some hay. And the building almost immediately collapses, so we need to swiftly make our escape by climbing interior, scaffolding and other types of debris. And let's just say that we really went out with a bang. With our newly gathered information about the Templars' location at the crypts, we head over there in order to firstly scout the area before tackling the assassination mission. And after waiting in a haystack for a couple of hours, the Templar called Lafreniere arrives at the scene. And I decided to cause total mayhem by taking on every guard and every sniper by myself before assassinating Lafreniere. And you should get the idea by now that after we kill a Templar we gain access to the Templars' memories, in order to get more information about other Templars. And it is the same thing here with Lafreniere.
Mirabeau is a good man.
The date is now the 31st of March 1791. I don't know why that's relevant, but I just wanted to tell you anyways. And Arno arrives at the Assassin's headquarters to present the information about the silversmith's weapons. Arno also tells them about killing Lafreniere by himself, and the Brotherhood are not happy with Arno's decision, because they now believe that we are too obsessed with the personal vendetta. But either way, they approve our idea about investigating further.
But I fear he's obsessed with a private vendetta.
So we head to Hotel de Beauvais, wherever that is, which is a hotel that Lafreniere seemed to be interested in. And when we arrive at the site, we see Latouche again. So we do the thing that any rational man would do, and that is to of course track him down by sneaking into the building in order to figure out what he is up to. Latouche seems to be arranging a meeting with other presumed Templars, so we need to listen to their plans by any means, and we do so by listening through a couple of floorboards underneath their meeting. And Arno figures out that they are after Elise, and that makes him upset.
Elise.
So we kill a rather large amount of guards in the building, which was unnecessary before escaping the area. The clock is ticking and we need to find Elise fast before the Templars do, and it seems that we have arrived just in time. Elise seems confused, so we promise her to explain everything after we've survived the Templars' ambush. But because Elise has a lack of judgment, she makes us enter a maze that she doesn't know the way out of. Either way, I am better than her in every way, shape or form, so I find the exit with ease, after killing countless guards of course. Anyways, the killing spree didn't stop there, so Elise helps us out with assassinating even more guards as well as shooting down snipers. When we've done all that, Arno tells Elise to escape while he fends off the rest of the guards, and that they should meet at a cafe tomorrow.
Mad. I'll be there.
We arrive at the cafe to meet Elise in order to talk things out, and we settle on taking Elise to the Brotherhood. Elise then explains to the Brotherhood that she needs their help, but Belek thinks she's a Templar and wants to kill her.
Shut up!
My name is...
For heaven's sake, take that blindfold off. Ridiculous.
However, we explain to Elise that we know where Francois Germain is, aka the Silversmith. So we run to Germain's last known location, and Elise tells us that Germain was her father's left hand, and that he was supposed to be dead.
Francois Germain was my father's lieutenant.
We also discover that it all was a trap, so we need to kill a few guards before picking up our search for clues again. And surprisingly, we do make a discovery, and that discovery is that Germain killed Elise's father. Anyhow, we meet up again at the house where we can find Mirabeau, and let's just say that he is sleeping very well. So we need to investigate the murder by examining the body where we can find a Templar badge. We also find a lady's handkerchief, as well as a cup with traces of poison on it. And the door to the room didn't seem to be forced up as well, and that makes us believe that the murderer was either a guest or a servant that had access to the room. And our suspicions are confirmed when we find out Mirabeau expected a visitor called Master Kamar, who we can find in the assassin's headquarters. And Kamar gives us a clue about an apothecary who works downtown. But when we arrive at the pharmacy, the apothecary runs away in fear, so we chase after him and pin him against a tree. And he confirms that another assassin was behind the murder of Mirabeau, and the apothecary gives us a note about where he dropped off the second dose of the poison.
Go on then.
The note leads us to a fountain, where Arno then picks up a trail back to the source. And the source is not far away, because it is coming from a church just around the corner. However, Elise doesn't want us to go alone, but Arno insists on doing it himself.
You'd better come back to me.
So we climb up the majestic church, and to our surprise, we find Bellic.
Piss pot.
It wasn't that surprising to be honest, but who cares. Bellic then goes on about how Mirabeau poisoned us, and that he is upset with the leadership of the Brotherhood, and how the Brotherhood had lost its purpose. A fight is then initiated, and we absolutely humiliate Bellic with our skillful sword fighting techniques, before throwing him down a balcony, following throwing ourselves down as well. But the falling down high heights doesn't stop there. We also throw Bellic through a window, as well as ourselves of course.
So,
Bellic then pulls out his pistol and tries to shoot Elise, but we shoot him in the forearm before he can do any harm. At this point we absolutely beat the shit out of Bellic before going balls deep in his throat with our hidden blade. Unlocking his memories as well, but they are irrelevant. And hey, you remember the rift from earlier? Yeah, a new one opened up, transporting us to the year 1944 while Paris was occupied. And it was actually really fun climbing up the Eiffel Tower while dodging the spotlight of soldier snipers, as well as shooting down multiple fighter planes with a Gatling gun. However, all fun things must come to an end, so we sneak over a blimp to then make our way to the top by dodging even more spotlights and even lightning strikes. And the exit rift was also really cool to jump through. After killing Bellic, we arrive at the Brotherhood and they explain that Mirabeau had exchanged information with the king, and we need to stop the information from getting out to the public. So we need to infiltrate the palace and locate the king's office, where we find Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon then explains to us that he believes that there is a secret vault in here somewhere, and to be honest, the vault wasn't that secret since it was quite easy to find. Templar mercenaries then burst into the office and we need to fend them off one by one whilst Napoleon opens a secret door that leads to a secret tunnel. We got no time to waste, so we follow Napoleon through the tunnel before a couple of royal guards blow up the wall to let us out of the building. And after going separate ways we meet up again with Napoleon. And he gives us information about Roy's location. Before killing Roy, we help a couple of royal guards by killing some thugs. We then infiltrate the fortress before climbing a sniper's tower to then set fire to it. Roy is now less guarded than before, and that creates a window for us to disguise ourselves as a guard before executing him. Roy's memories then show us his connection to Germain and other Templar, as well as information about the delivery at the docks. Elise waits for us at a cafe and Arno immediately asks about a grain merchant.
What do you know about grain merchants?
And that he has a tail on Germain. With no further explanation, we head to the docks, where we locate the barge that we need to tail, by jumping from boat to boat and pole to pole before reaching the boat's final destination. And there we see the Templar who has connections to Germain. And our mission is to steal the orders, and we do so by killing a few thugs as well as a guy that carries the orders. And after stealing them, we swim away like an Olympic champion. The order leads us to a place where the royal family stacks up on grain, and our mission is to eliminate Marie Levesque. But before doing so, I felt like watching some fireworks. Not that I needed a distraction or so, I just wanted to see them, you know. So we help a merchant with delivering the fireworks, before heading into the palace where we steal a key to open up a few jail cells to cause a prison break. And after infiltrating the palace we find Marie, and I knocked her out by stabbing her multiple times before killing the rest of the guards. And before killing her, we of course do a little humiliation by looting her belongings. Her memories show that Germain needed her help with getting the king convicted for something. I'm not certain, to be honest. Anyways, we escape the area to then find Elise being chased by some Templars. We then find the balloon and our first thought is to steal it. So Elise jumps into the balloon whilst we cut the ropes to the balloon. However, Elise didn't plan this escape whatsoever. So Arno needs to chase after the balloon by jumping over rooftops the same time as we are being shot by enemy snipers. The balloon then gets stuck on the chimney, so Arno needs to cut it loose in order for him to hopefully grab onto the balloon. But his grip strength wasn't strong enough. Anyhow, we need to jump and run over even more rooftops, and Arno finally manages to jump onto the balloon this time. We now need to assassinate a guy called La Pelletier, and we do so by first bribing a housewife into letting us into the building by telling someone to open a window to climb through.
Just do it!
Alright.
The rest is easy, because we disguise ourselves as a guard to then calmly walk up to La Pelletier before assassinating him. The memories show that he voted for the king's execution on Germain's behalf. So we head to the execution site where the king will be executed, and we're tasked with murdering Germain. We then witness the king's execution before Germain orders the Templar guards to kill us. However, Elise helps us out by killing some guards with us, and she is quite upset with us because we didn't kill Germain when we had the chance.
I'm not leaving you here to die.
Arno then drowns his sorrows by indulging in drinking activities in Versailles, and when he wakes up he figures out that he has lost his watch. So he tries to desperately dig through his mind in order to figure out where his watch is. And in his memories we need to steal a keg of wine from a brasserie. So we head over to the brasserie, and Arno then remembers that he caused a bar fight yesterday, and that he was knocked out with a chair before being thrown out of the bar by a guy with a mustache. And thankfully, the guy with the mustache is still there in the brasserie. However, he is a coward and starts to run away, so we run after him before tackling him to the ground. Arno then threatens the guy who tells us to go to the palace, and we thank him by giving him a knuckle sandwich before heading there. We then find the gang leader, and after killing a few thugs, we try to find the watch, but we can't find it anywhere. However, Elise arrives and she gives us the watch. Elise and Arno then have some deep talk about how Arno only wanted to protect Elise, and that Elise thinks Arno is better than being a rage-filled drunk. Arno then arrives at another execution site, where we find the brothers that stole our watch from earlier in the story, as well as Latouche. And Latouche is the main reason that we are here, because we need to kill him. First of all, we talk to the brothers to then steal the key from the guard in order to then enter the cage where the brothers are held, before being scheduled for execution.
Being a thick-headed man-mountain while doing little enough for your long-term prospects is not actually a capital offense.
We then walk up to the guillotine to kill Latouche. And Latouche's memories show us even more clues about Germain's plans about taking over the Templar Order. But before we know it, another rift opens up, and this time we're transported to the Middle Ages. The rift then guides us through the catacombs, where we jump from unstable ropes and wooden structures, before entering the quarry, where large boulders fall down on us Indiana Jones style. The rift then starts to fall apart, and we need to cross a collapsed bridge before entering another section, which seems to be a battlefield. And we are also being constantly bombarded with catapults that throw giant burning boulders on us before exiting the rift, transporting us back to Paris. After coming back to Paris, we reunite with Elise to go to a festival located at Les Champs de Mars, and when we arrive we are greeted by fireworks. Elise then tells us about a guy called Robespierre and that he is having a ceremony. She then tells us to sabotage his ceremony by finding evidence that could frame him as a dangerous lunatic. So we head to Robespierre's tent, where we skim through his papers in order to find some incriminating evidence. And finally, we find a book with notes that contain various names of other deputies of the National Convention.
You should do nicely.
We tell Elise about our discovery, but before presenting the notes to the deputies, Elise wants us to poison Robespierre's refreshments, so we need to protect her in the meantime by killing guards patrolling the area. And after poisoning the refreshments, Elise explains that the poison she used will cause hallucinations, and therefore will make Robespierre look insane, or delulu if you will. Anyways, let's continue where we left off. We now need to run around and plant the notes on various people. And after doing so, we notice that the poison is kicking in and that people are starting to turn their backs against Robespierre.
It is wisdom, above all, that our guilty enemies want to drive from the Republic.
However, our master plan took a turn when we find out that Robespierre has been arrested for making fake threats and that he is now being scheduled for execution. While trying to get to him, we find out that his royal escorts have been ambushed and killed, but we do find one who is still alive, so we of course press him for information before continuing our search.
Merci. Go find yourself a doctor.
And after asking even more guards for Robespierre's direction, we finally find him. But that wasn't all. Robespierre runs away to a palace where he can hide from the guards. So we now need to find him once again, and when we do, Arno asks him about where Germain is. But Robespierre of course doesn't want to talk to us, so Elise then shoots him in the face and asks him to write down Germain's location instead, which he does. And the information leads us to the temple.
I should have known.
When we arrive at the temple, Elise tells us to kill Germain by any means whenever we have the chance. So, we infiltrate the fortress where we then take down as many Templar guards as we can before scaling our way to the top of the building where we find Germain. And the first thing that we try to do is of course stick a blade in his neck. But it seems to be quite difficult, since Germain now has a magical sword that shoots lightning strikes of some sort. We do however get a blow on him at last, but when we do, Arno flies away from the impact and Germain then disappears into thin air. We now need to find Germain once again, like we haven't tracked him down enough already. So we head down into the catacombs under the temple where we reunite with Elise before opening and entering a secret door that leads into a crypt of some sort. And we have now entered the final boss battle, and we more or less use Elise as a distraction that grabs Germain's attention in order for us to strike him in the back. And after striking him for a second time, we are left with pretty much 1 HP, but that doesn't bother us because we have a large supply of healing potions that I spam in order to get to him before striking him for the last time. However, the blast from the last impact seemed to be quite powerful, because it leaves us under some debris. Elise then tries to help us before deciding to take a chance on killing Germain by herself. And that wasn't a good idea whatsoever, because Germain starts to channel his inner powers. So we then try to run as fast as we can to save Elise from the inevitable death that she is awaiting. But Germain manages to strike Elise with a blast so powerful that all of Elise's life force pretty much flew out of her immediately. Arno now has the opportunity to end Germain's life once and for all, and that is exactly what we do, and we make sure that Germain feels every single second of his death by slowly forcing our blade through his throat. We then enter Germain's memories and he congratulates us for slaying the villain. He then goes on about how we gained the magical powers, but I don't really care. Now, back to reality. Arno walks over to Elise's lifeless body, and I'm really sorry for my armor of choice here because it looks absolutely stupid, but it is what it is, okay? Anyways, we then carry Elise out of the crypt and the story of Assassin's Creed Unity ends there. There are also multiplayer related missions in the game. The first ones are the co-op missions. They are pretty much the same as the regular missions except that they are designed to be played by multiple people. However, you can complete all of them just by yourself, and it isn't that hard to be honest, except maybe a few. You can also unlock rewards by playing the co-op missions, and there are 3 on each level, but you only get 1 per each try. So you have to play each one of them 3 times to get all of the rewards. Heists are the second type of multiplayer mission. In these missions you have to find and collect different valuables that are both hidden and guarded by a large quantity of guards. You can also quite easily complete these missions by yourself. I will now cover all the different types of side quests. The first type of quest that I will cover are the Helix Rifts. In these missions you need to gather data in order to then save a trapped assassin. After doing so, a portal opens that you then need to jump through to finish the quest. Social club missions are unlocked by purchasing and renovating a social clubhouse. The missions that you get from the house are like any type of story mission except with less story and more chores. Paris stories, however, are more like real story missions. Some even have a storyline spread through many other missions. They can vary from stealthily scouting areas in order to retrieve items to mercilessly killing of countless guards. Murder mysteries, on the other hand, turn you from an assassin to a detective, where you need to find killers by following clues to then lock them into a small jail cell where the sheriff will thank you for your service.
I can't help you. Christ.
Nostradamus Enigmas are more of a collectible rather than a quest. They are scattered all across the map and you need to find symbols in different places. From every symbol you get a riddle that you then need to solve in order to find the next one. There are a lot of these in the game, so you need to be very patient because this takes a lot of time. Cafe Theater missions are unlocked by renovating the cafe. They are also pretty much the same as the social club mission, so there's nothing really special here. And last of all, the companion missions. Companion missions are often short and sweet, where you need to do a task for another civilian, such as stealing or killing for them. I will now cover all of the miscellaneous stuff. First up is all the chests. And it was a pain in the ass to get all of them, because there is a 294 chests in the main game and you can't see the chest locations on the map. And that is why I bought the Cockades and chest map in the in-game store for 150 Helix points. And I can't even describe how much more of a pain this would be if I didn't buy this. We then need to collect all of the artifacts, which are these shields hung up on random walls in the game. Some are also only found in the Helix Rift missions, so you need to focus more on those, because their spawns are not always the same. The Cockades are pretty much just like the chests, except that they are solely a collectible. They look like small ribbons scattered all across of the map, and you can't see them on the map, so the Cockades and the chest map came in handy here as well. Sync points are unlocked by completing missions in the game, but there are also some found in the open world, but only in the multiplayer missions. They are not on the map either, so you need to go out of your way and search for them, but it shouldn't take that long to do. Viewpoints are a little different. They are unlocked by synchronizing on top of high buildings. They then unlock new parts of the map and can also be used as a point that you can fast travel to. And last of all, you need to upgrade and renovate everything at the Cafe Theater building, as well as renovating all of the social clubs, and you do so by spending in-game currency. Now let's move on to the Dead Kings DLC. Arno enters a bar to speak with a rather elegant looking man about information regarding a manuscript and where it might be located. The bartender then overheard our conversation and decides to warn us about the royal crypt, since the Dead King's ghost is still haunting that place.
I must warn you, monsieur.
Anyways, we don't care about no warning, so we head to the royal crypt, which is located under the basilica. When we are down in the crypt, we need to find Louis IX's grave. But when we find it, a couple of tomb raiders interrupt us, so Arno needs to hide from them. However, one of the tomb raiders are left down in the crypt, so we need to chase after him. But the raider then unfortunately fell down an edge. And fortunately for us, he had a lantern on him that Arno happily steals. And the lantern then comes in handy when we need to use it for opening a hidden entry as well as scaring away bats. We then head over to the Abbey, where we need to find a library in order to retrieve a list of some sort. And we do so after killing a few guards that are standing in our way. And that list contains one of many clues that we need in order to find the manuscript. We now head to an orphanage to ask about a boy called Leon. And the lovely lady called Madame Margot tells us to look for Leon at the windmill. So that is exactly what we do. However, we don't find him anywhere at the windmill, so we head into the tunnels where we can see many more gravediggers or so-called raiders.
Mine now.
We also find Leon, but he is being threatened by another man who seems to enjoy sniffing snuff. Leon is then locked up in a cage, so we need to kill a few raiders as well as a raid leader before letting Leon out of the cage. Leon then shows us one of his prized possessions, which is a powerful handheld cannon that absolutely destroys anything that it shoots at. However, Arno and Leon have a little argument, and that results in Leon running away. We then need to complete a little puzzle by activating 2 giant slabs that then opens up a locked door that makes it possible for us to leave the crypt. When we find Leon again, Arno makes him hand over the manuscript to him. We then head back to the bar and Arno lay eyes on Elise, or at least someone who looks like her.
Here.
Arno then regrets being an asshole to Leon, so we tell him that we will help him find the artifact. We then assemble some plates to then shine some light on them, and we figure out that it is a map of the caverns. So we run to the crypt, and while we're inside, we find some raiders trying to lockpick a large door leading into the tomb. And the raid leader seems to be quite impatient. Anyways, it is time for more puzzles. The first puzzle makes us light a couple of lanterns in no specific order, but is pretty much just brute force until you get the right ones. And once finished, the ghost of the king gets released and starts to torment the raiders. The second puzzle makes us press more slabs that then show different symbols, and you need to press them in an order that makes the symbols match in the order that you press the slabs, if that makes sense. Anyways, the order that I pressed the slabs was the third, first, second and then the fourth. In the third puzzle we need to adjust the height of some stone pillars to align with the symbols on the walls. And this is by far the easiest puzzle of them all. Not that the puzzles were hard or anything, these are just my thoughts. After completing the puzzle, a light beam shows us the correct lock that we need to insert the golden key into. We then meet up with Leon again to tell him that we found the lock and that we now need to find the key. So we head to the market, and from there we need to tail one of Napoleon's lieutenants that hopefully will lead us to the key. The lieutenant then stops at the house, so we sneak into it in order to listen to the lieutenant's secret conversation.
Plus, a promotion.
The lieutenant then runs away, so we chase after him, to then beat him up a little before threatening him into giving us the key's location.
Tell me the location of the chest containing the golden key.
And we thank him by finishing him off, because why not? Anyways, we enter the crypts to find the raiders' hideout where the key should be. And while we are in the hideout, we kill a large amount of raiders before sneaking into a room where Napoleon has hidden away a chest that contains the key. The key is now in our hands, so we head to the large door to unlock it. And when we enter the room, the snuff-sniffing raider from earlier shoots at us. And that causes Arno to fall down a large hole.
What skill stealing the key?
We now need to do even more puzzles to find our way back to the temple, and the puzzle consists of even more button pressing as well as climbing. Anyways, when we head back, we need to kill the snuff-sniffing raider, whose real name is Rose. And I just figured that out, by the way. Him and his raiders are no match since we actually know how to fight. And after killing Rose and his men, we have to do another puzzle. But this is just a combination puzzle that even a toddler could do. Anyways, the combination is 2, 4, 3, 1.
Vive la France.
The relic is then up for grabs and we finally lay our hands on it. And let's just say that the relic is more than just powerful, because it allows us to channel the power of the dead king to immediately kill everything standing in our way. And once we leave the crypt, we head back to the bar to leave a note to the elegant man from before. We also retrieve a golden ball from the relic that we ship away to Cairo. But most important of all, we reunite with Leon. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the Dead Kings DLC. With the story for the Dead Kings DLC out of the way, let's cover all of the other things required for the 100%. First up are the online co-op missions, and they are just like the online missions in the main game. Then we have the side quests, which consist of both Stories of the Frenziade and Murder Mystery missions. Sugar's Legacy are like the Nostradamus enigmas in the main game, and after getting all of them you get a cool sword called the Eagle of Sugar that blinds enemies when striking them. There are also outposts in the game that you need to liberate by killing enemies that control the area. We also have viewpoints that unlock new parts of the map for us to see, as well as 14 artifacts. And a new type of collectible called Napoleon's bicorns, which are these fancy hats that you can find in various places. And last of all, we of course have more chests to find, and I am glad that it wasn't as many in the Dead Kings DLC as there was in the main game. And finally, after 67.8 hours, I had achieved both 100% in the main game and in the Dead Kings DLC. I have also unlocked all the achievements in the game, except for one achievement that I had all the requirements for, but I didn't get it because of a bug.
That's all for me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will now give a final score of the game, and thank you so much for watching.